Hi. Yesterday we discussed about Workday, right? So what Workday is all about and how Workday is being used, right? So at the same time, what are the different modules will be there in Workday, right? So all the features, right? So even benefit management, at the same time compensations, right? So we discussed about all the modules. Being a business analyst, whenever we are working on Workday, which is in HCM application, of course, even this is something used even for HR as well as the financial roles. But in context to the role of a business analyst, whenever we are working on the Workday application, it's always important for us to make some changes in the existing application by performing some configurations, all that stuff. Because being a BA, our major responsibility is majorly focusing on the configuration part, those configurations, administration and authorizations, integrations. This is what something which being a business analyst, we will be working more on. In this regard, it's always important for us to know about what are the different steps which are essentially required when we are creating a workday uh, by assigning some roles to an employee, right? So if you want to know about that, because when it comes to the role of a BA, as I stated, it's not only about the configuration part, etc., but it is also essentially required for us to assign what are the different roles to an employee is what something we need to know, right? So at the same time, we need to learn that as well. In regard to that, this is what the first, usually the role which normally we will be paying, right? So as far as the business analyst itself is concerned, there are some steps which we need to follow. So these are the basic steps which we have to follow whenever we are working on the Workday application, being a BA. So the first step, we need to search the fields relating to the employee name, right? So we need to enter an employee name first, okay, in the search field, right? So this is the first thing we have to see, because if you want to assign a role, first of all, you need to search the employee name, etc., right? So this is what something which we need to be done in the first one, right? This is the first one. So once we are searching the employee name in the search field, etc., so wherein we need to assign a role, which is either for assigning role or adding or removing, because this is an option wherein we will be using. It's not only for an assign role. If you want to remove the role and maybe for some reason, I'm saying role, okay, not in designation. Designation can be of different. But as far as the role itself is concerned, it may vary, depends on the uh, scenario or depends on the project wherein we are working on. So we may be wearing a role as, for example, you are a business analyst, right? So you are a business analyst in Workday. So there may be a role where they may be required a business analyst in spite of the role as a designation. They may be expecting you to work as into business process management professional, right? So it can be of other role, right? So or else you may be acted as a project management role as well, right? So these are all different roles which may be played for the particular project. That is not guaranteed all the time, because it can be off, right? So add in removing the roles and all everything. This is where generally this assigning roles, etc., will be taken into consideration. So once we have assigned as well as removed the roles, etc., is what something we need to do. We need to click the row icon button, wherein if you want to row, and that is being used to enter the supervisory organization and role details, all that stuff, where we need to add and click on the add row, right? So this is what something which we have to do whenever you are clicking on add row icon. So that this is majorly used for us to add a row that is being used to enter the supervisor organization as well as the role details, etc., all that stuff. So once we have added this roles, etc., it's always important for us to employee name, right? So entering employee name is also one of the important element, right? So wherein we need to be focused more on, right? So we need to enter the employee name in the search field because we have already done the search, right? So again, we need to add the employee name and all, right? So we need to enter the employee name in the search field and all that. So followed by this, we need to mentioning last but not least, it is important for us to mention the effective date, right? So effective date, which is usually a current date, right? So effective date means when we are making changes and all, right? So I mean, I can say the current date. So current date, I can say, right? So effective date, which is nothing but the current date, is what something which we have to be mentioned, which is a default because this is the time wherein we are assigning the roles to the existing ones. So this is how generally an assigning role to an employee is what something being a business analyst whenever you are working on the application of Workday, right? So which is HCM of any other modules like benefit management, compensation, etc. All that. This is what and how usually creating roles in Workday is what something which we have to be performed with. So this is majorly apart from the configurations, apart from integration, because integration can be done. Maybe Workday you can integrate with some other ERP applications, right? So or else it can be other internal systems which they were using, or when there are majorly important all these things, whenever you are going for the configuration projects, means let's say old configuration, old legacy application they were using. Now, from the old legacy applications to the new Workday is what something organization is planning to move on. So whenever they are moving on, whatever the required fields, whatever the required fields to be configured with, right? Whatever the required roles to be assigned, because based upon the role assignment, whatever the responsibilities they have to be rendered, everything will be updated in this regard. So, because based on the role, what are the responsibilities you are going to provide, everything will be included in this regard. So, this is what and how usually assigning a role to an employee is what something being a business analyst, one of the responsibility we do whenever we are working on Workday. This is all about today, right? So, we'll meet tomorrow and we discuss more about the configuration part, all that stuff. Okay. Any questions? Please go ahead.